Welcome to the Teen Scene. I'm Amber Thomas. We have a great show for you guys today. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
As we unveil Mahalia Jackson, could we have a countdown starting with 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, as we unveil Reverend Dr. Harold A. Carter Sr., could we have another countdown? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As we unveil Bishop George E. Battle, could we have a countdown? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as we unveil Bishop John R. Bryant, could we have a countdown? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, welcome to the Teen Scene. I'm Amber Thomas. We have a great show today. We're here at this great event today, and I'm here with Patricia Shuford.
Patricia Shuford, yes.
Could you tell me about yourself?
Well, I was born and reared in Baltimore, Maryland, and I left in 1978 to go to school in New York City and never returned. But I've known the Bryant family for all of my life, actually. And in 1987, John Bryant married my husband and I at Bethel AME Church. So I couldn't wait to get here for this installation.
Could you tell me how excited you are about the event today?
Oh, I think it's so appropriate and so wonderful that he is going to be in the Wax Museum. I know so many Baltimoreans that have been in the Wax Museum, and it's so appropriate that he would be the youngest bishop in the AME Church, you know. What could be better?
Have you ever been to the Wax Museum?
Oh, many times, yes.
Could you tell everyone out there why they should come on to the museum?
Well, it's a wonderful teaching tool for young children and adults alike. It tells us a lot about the history of Baltimore and some of the events, historical events that have happened here. And it's well done, it's well researched, and it's just a wonderful place to visit.
Thank you for coming on and being with us today. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
First of all, to many of you, she's a friend. To others, she has been a mentor. And to the community, she has been a great leader in the area of the arts. I think I met Joanne Elmer 31 years ago when the museum consisted of how many statues can we put in a van or a truck and take somewhere and show them, because there were only few. It was only a dream then. It was only an idea in the minds of both of them. And theirs was a real, true love story. Now, Elmer, who is here in spirit, I know it, could tell it only as he could tell it. It's kind of like your story, Madam Mayor. He talked about how he met Joanne on a college campus and looked at her and then could not look away again. And he just pursued and pursued because he felt this was his life's choice. And then the rest became history. You know, they both shared a collective vision regarding the perpetuation of African American culture. It manifested itself in this museum. That museum has grown from 1 or 2 statuettes to a complete hall of figurines. And now today, with the induction of these additional 4 distinguished individuals, it's almost like a coming of age. They honored me in 1997 with a wax figure, and I have tried over and over again to honor them in every way that I could. Elmer left us years back in Egypt, pursuing a desire to visit that area of the world and to reconnect with the history of all histories. And Joanne, with the burden on her back to continue, has continued nonetheless. So the fact that we are here, and she is here, and Elmer is here, points out to the true testimony of what a living God will do with a wonderful and magnificent dream. Please join me in welcoming the founder and director, Miss Great Blacks and Whites Museum, Dr. Joanne Martin.
I want to thank all of you for being here. It means so very much to me and to Elmer, and to all of those friends that Kwesi Mfume mentioned, and he is one of those friends. I'm to give the occasion, and I guess I need to take you on a journey, and the word journey is significant throughout much of this. In 2012, I sitting in the home of Dr. Alethea Stark, and we were developing a concept of journey projects that we would move forward doing what we call the journey projects. And we began in 2013 with the educational journey, unveiling wax figures of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, Dr. Benjamin Quarles, Dr. Benjamin Mays, and Dr. Freeman Rabowski. And the idea always was that we would, this year, 2014, launch the spiritual journey. I had the honor of discussing this with Reverend Harold Carter. And the initial concept was that Reverend Carter would take our visitors on through a video documentary through thousands of years of the history of people of African descent, African Americans as Christians, the evolution of Christianity as a worldwide religion and our role and impact in that, and the function of the church as a major community builder, and the leadership role that it played as we were forced to deal with segregation and lynching and any number of challenges in this country and in this world. The concept, of course, had to change with the death of Reverend Dr. Carter, but he will continue to be at the center of the storytelling through his wax figure, but also through the miracle of technology to draw from his words and deeds so that we can keep him as the central narrator. But today you get to meet two of the people who represent the other part of the concept, the journey narrators, so that Bishop Bryant will take us through the history of the African Methodist Episcopal Church and denomination. And Bishop George Battle will take us through the journey to learn the history of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church. And this is only a beginning, because each year we want to choose a contemporary of the major denominations and choose a project, a journey narrator, and then to be able to tell the history of the pioneers and founders and those men and women who were at the center of those individual faiths. So this is only a beginning. I also feel that the words that I wrote in my greetings to you help to express the reason that we are here today. And so I would like to read those words to you and end there. Dear supporters, when my husband, Dr. Elmer P. Martin, died in 2001, I said in one of my ongoing conversations with him, Elmer, if I were dealing with the death of any other loved one, God and you would be my grief counselors. So that's what the two of you are going to be. Thus I began a personal journey of sorts, starting each day with, good morning, God. Good morning, Elmer. making sure to put God first. He, after all, had sent Elmer to me, bringing into my life so much of who I am today. I often tell museum visitors that when they are touring the National Great Blacks and Wax Museum, it's like walking around in the head of Dr. Elmer Martin, a true genius, a genuine visionary. The National Great Blacks and Wax Museum continues to be guided by the philosophy of Dr. E. Community development and cultural development go hand in hand was his mantra. He said that conventional wisdom all over America is that you hide your poverty areas. And once you succeed in hiding them, you can succeed in neglecting them. These beliefs prompted us to deliberately move more than 20 years ago to a fragile African American community in East Baltimore to use cultural tourism as a means of bringing cultural, economic, and social health to an at-risk community. Over 150,000 people from around the nation and the world visit our one-of-a-kind museum each year. Imagine what those numbers could be if we are able to do our block-long expansion. Elmer insisted that we forever be a museum with a message. Thus, his message from the ancestors, in which the ancestors counsel our youth: we did not die by the millions for you to kill one another by the thousands. Or, we did not endure bondage for you to become slaves to drugs and alcohol. It is fitting that Elmer joined the ancestors while in Egypt, looking out onto the Nile and seeing what he called three amazing terrains stretching before him: a fertile oasis, the Nile itself, and then the Sahara Desert. How, he asked, could anyone seeing these glorious sights dare deny the existence of God? A few hours later, Elmer would unite with God and the ancestors, leaving me and those who love and respect him to carry on. He is smiling that Elmer smiled today about this event, the honorees, and the support of all of you who have joined us in this celebration. In memory of our visionary founder, the board, staff, and I, thank you.
Welcome back to the Teen Scene. I'm here with Delegate Barbara Robinson. Delegate Robinson, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and who you're representing today?
I'm representing Bishop Bryant, but I'm also I'm a member of the House of Delegates. I'm also first vice chair of the Legislative Black Caucus. I'm chair and founder of the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber of Commerce, and chair and founder of the State of Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce. And now this is coming from homeless at 16, and coming from a life of abuse, and I can go on, and I mean sexual abuse, and on welfare, and in the streets, and drugs, and the whole 9 yards. And I've been through all of those things that people use as excuses for not doing anything in life. And when I left Baltimore, and my first book, And Still I Cry, it talks about the hardship that I had in order to just get to Baltimore. And it also talks about the fact that it took 18 years for me to get a bachelor's degree. And I started out at Morgan, and I dropped out, and I was in the streets and doing a whole lot of things. And then I got married, and I had 4 babies in 1 year, one in February and a set of triplets in November. End up on welfare and etc. But I kept going and going, and I'd work a little while, and my money run out, and I go back to school. So eventually, after 18 years, I got my bachelor's degree. Then I went on to Coppin State University and got my master's, and then I went on to Johns Hopkins University and got my other graduate degree, and then I got other certificates, about 19 from different schools, etc., etc. So, and I'm an author, published author of 5 books, and I'm working on book number 6 now. And I say and I'm a business owner. I've been a business owner in Maryland for almost 30 years, and I've done extremely well. I turned an unemployment check into a multi-million-dollar corporation. hiring 162 people. And I say all of that because there are so many young people that are caught up in the drug. My mother died of alcoholism. And I can tell you some of the horror stories from my stepfather. And a lot of times we get caught up in that rut and we go, oh, woe is me. And nobody loves me, so I'm not going to love myself. So I'm not going to. But you do have to love yourself, because nobody is going to love you the way that you love you. And I've done things that people only read about. I've traveled places that you only read about. And coming from where I was to where I am, and people look at me and say, you know, you've done this, etc., etc. Yeah, but it was a process. And so look at where I was and where I am, and realize that you can too, you know. And your condition does not have to be your conclusion. And that's what I say all of the time. You know, just because somebody else says that you will never be anything, don't fall into that. Because you were created by God, you've got big shoes to fill.
That's really an inspiration. Could you tell me a little bit about the person you're representing today?
Bishop Bryant, absolutely. As I said, I was in the streets and doing a whole lot of things that I should not have been doing. And he was the influence for me to join the church at Bethel. And when I joined Bethel, it wasn't just a church that I was joining. It was me finding who I was. Because of Bishop Bryant, I went to Africa. I went to Africa as a business owner to train women in Africa how to become business owners. And I actually went over there, and we also went over there to help build the church. So when I went over there, I thought that I was just going to see what was needed and come back and go back again. But no, when we went over there, things were needed right then, so we started teaching right then. And we came back and we put together, and we sent 2,000 books over there to go into a library. We took clothes with us, and there was a farm there that was owned by the AME Church. So we went to that farm to find out what could we do, and we took all of that information and brought it back to Bishop Bryant.
Wow.
And at that time he was Pastor Bryant, Reverend Bryant at that time. And he brought the people that we knew, that we met, and we went to Lusaka, Zambia. And he took the information that we brought back and put it together. We went back the second time to implement what we had done the first time, and this was all under his teachings.
Wow, that's really great. He's a true inspiration.
He's a great
Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Don't go away. We'll be back.
Let me say good afternoon to everyone. As we come together on this beautiful day, June 24th, 2014, and honoring four incredible individuals, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge some of our visitors. We have individuals from across this country that has come to be a part of this celebration. We have bishops from numerous churches throughout this country. And at this time period, instead of calling your name, I would like for you to stand up so we can acknowledge your attendance and your presence. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge Dr. Jenny Jenkins of Livingstone College in Salisbury, North Carolina. Several years ago, the museum went for national designation, and that national designation was made possible because of the elected officials throughout this country supporting the efforts of the museum's expansion and its movement toward the future. It is because of the individuals in here, each and every last one of you, that we were able to gain that support. We received letters from every single state in the United States to their Congress representatives to encourage them to support the museum in this movement. This is something that we're going to be asking you to do again in the future as we move toward the fulfillment of the expansion of the National Great Blacks in Wax Museum. Those individuals that assisted us include the following individuals that were present today, and I'm going to call their name, but it's not limited to them. And that is Congressman Elijah Cummings, who was present, Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown, Governor Martin O'Malley, Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake, our former Mayor Sheila Dixon, our state senator from the 45th Legislative District, Nathaniel J. McFadden, who's led the efforts in a lot of our funding initiatives, Council President Bernard Jack Young, and also Councilman Carl Stokes. If there are other elected officials here and present with us today, and I did not call your name, please stand up so that you can be acknowledged. Oh my goodness, I see Controller Joan Pratt. Is that? Okay, I'm sorry, Delegate Barbara Robinson. Betty Clark, State Central Committee Coordinator. Again, as we move to the next stage that each and every last one of you are waiting for the unveiling of the 4 incredible individuals that's going to be honored this evening. Again, I'd like to encourage you to visit the website of the National Great Blacks in Wax Museum. You will be getting the updates on the expansion plan and also given an opportunity so that you can participate in this process also.
Welcome back to the Teen Scene. We're here, we're at an event for the Great Blacks in Wax. Could you tell me a little bit about who you are and who you're representing today?
I'm Dr. Karen E. McCrae. I am on the clergy team at God's Amazing Grace in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm here just representing the community, the church community. Specifically, I'm here because of Dr. Harold Carter and Dr. Bishop Bryant, and of course, Mahalia Jackson. One cannot do it without Mahalia Jackson. Mahalia Jackson came up during a time when blacks were not welcome in many of the establishments, especially the opera houses and even anything that was white, we were not welcome. And Mahalia Jackson, through her tenacity and her humility, was able to overcome the obstacles of segregation and racial prejudice, and one day she sung at the Metropolitan Opera, and in a time when that just was not done. And here we are in the 21st century, and we just take that for granted because we can go anywhere we want to, but in those days that was not unheard, that was unheard. Okay.
So could you tell me about the event and Great Blacks in Wax Museum?
Well, I'm coming, like I said, because of Mahalia Jackson, Dr. Carter, and Bishop Bryant, but I've also attended the Great Blacks in Wax Museum. I've taken, when my family comes to visit, I take them there because I'm not a resident, I'm not a native of Baltimore, I'm a native of Florida. And when I went to the Great Blacks in Wax, it was so inspirational. It just hit me, and it reminded me of where we've come from and what we've done. And it's my hope. I've taken my children there, and I've got my first grandchild. He's too young to come, but it inspired my children, and now my children, you know, they went, and I have a daughter now who has her master's degree. She finished at a historical black college, and now I have my youngest daughter who's getting her doctor's degree from Regency, but both of them went to historical black colleges. But seeing things like that inspired them to push on because of what people like Mahalia Jackson and Dr. Harold Carter and Bishop Bryant has done in the Black community.
Do you have any piece of advice or inspiration for teens out there?
Never ever allow anyone to destroy your self-esteem. Always take pride in who you are and where you come from, and take advantage of what others have done. Walk in integrity and in honesty, love everybody, and be willing sometimes to take the low road, knowing that it's not always about being right, but it's about endurance. And sometimes just not saying anything will catapult you into the next phase of your life.
That's a good piece of advice.
We have to be determined when we think about the legends that live and lived among us. Our history here, the challenges we have faced as African Americans, and how much we have overcome. I know sometimes it probably gets frustrating when we feel like we're fighting the same fights over. But for all of those who fought before us, let this day be a reminder that we must remain determined, vigilant, and forever hopeful. Thank you very much.
Kwesi, thank you so very, very much. It is wonderful to be here with all of you on this gorgeous day that the Lord has made. I want to thank Kwesi and Fume for his kind introduction and for emceeing us today. The late, great Dr. Harold Carter Sr. of the New Shiloh Baptist Church of Baltimore, who preached, taught, and wrote in the great faith tradition of Dr. King, to Reverend John R. Bryant, a Baltimore original and the indispensable leader of the AME Church, Bishop George E. Battle, who I'm told inspired half of the state of North Carolina to come here to be with us today, and of course the legendary Mahalia Jackson, who enthralled a nation with songs of freedom and songs of justice. These men and women that we celebrate today have made all of us better. They have made our country better. They have made our country better by always putting others first. And today we congratulate these honorees and their families and thank all of you for the faithful work that you do in always putting others first. Thank you very much.
In my times when I'm kind of depressed and low, when I've got people trying to turn off my mic, who we salute today, the ones who stood up and stood out, the ones who took their pain, turned it into their passion to do their purpose. I would think about them. And even when they're long gone, we'll be able to go and say, hey Bishop, have a conversation. Hi, Miss Jackson, have a conversation. May God bless.
Thank you for watching the Teen Scene. We had a great show today. We hope you had enjoyed it. We hope you learned a lot about the Great Blacks and Whites Museum and all the inspiration that you can learn from the great people in the museum.